Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
I absolutely love Christmas. Barry and I actually, we could tell stories of how we used to wake up at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. or whatever it was. I don't even know. I don't remember.
No, we set our alarm for like 4 a.m., but we got up at 2 a.m. because we couldn't sleep anyway.
And luckily, our parents had already finished putting everything under the tree.
Yeah. And we would stay up until everybody else got up.
That's interesting. That was just me and you.
That's all I remember.
That's all I remember.
Sort out our presents.
Like we would fight all the time, but yet at Christmas time, we would
together.
So yeah, I remember one time I tried to tape an alarm clock to my ear to make sure that it would wake me up.
Good plan.
And it did not work. It fell off or something. And I think you came in before it anyway.
Yeah, I would just do that. I'm like, Joe, come on.
Wait. It's Christmas. You get up. So there's so those are just kind of fun experiences that we've had. We've had great. We never were really rich or whatever. Our parents didn't have a lot, but at the same time, we never really noticed. I mean, we made jokes, but we never really took it to heart. Like we made jokes like, "Oh, I can't wait to open my present," instead of my presents.
And sometimes we'd have Christmas in July or something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she says Christmas in April because she did.
Oh, that's right. Because it would be delayed.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have anything or much. So then
have a Christmas in April.
We'll just have a Christmas later. But it never really affected me. I don't have I don't know. Did it affect you?
No, because growing up as a kid, I mean, we had a grandma on our dad's side that would just give us, whenever she was around, she would always try to give us whatever she had in her attic, or she would buy us cool toys too. But but when I got older, I wasn't really caring all that much about it. So it was, I don't know, we had some good memories.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I have, for some reason, as an adult and as a parent, a dad, I've been, there are a few things that I want, meaning I just want to make sure that I have a star up, and I've made a different version of a star at different times. One time I cut out a piece of wood and then I cut all these holes in it, the first time I made a star, I wrapped Christmas lights around something and it made a star. And then the next time I drilled holes and measured them out and then put lights in there so it would be a nice star. But then it was this giant piece of wood on top of our house. And in the last few years, I welded a star together, and I had taped on some lights. And then I think it was last year, that time I drilled holes through it, and then it was this nice, precise star. Maybe we can put a picture of it in the video. I don't know. For some reason, the star to me is, I love it. Of what it means, and actually we can talk about that. I usually like to make some kind of Christmas message or something. I just get really inspired around this time, and so last year there was 2 violinists and a pianist that played in our church, and I really enjoyed it. And so I asked them if I could record it, and so we recorded it at their house and just made a little music video. And then this year I wanted to focus on the star again, and but this time I've always wanted to get this message out. And the message, I think, well, maybe I'll play it first so I don't, over talk it, and then I can say why I did that.
So in this video, you'll see the star that he made at the very end of the video.
No, that's not. That's a different one.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, it's somebody else's. It's somebody else that
I
goes
thought
to our
that was
church.
yours. Oh, okay.
No, and they have it way up high in a tree, and so
Did they copy your design?
no, it's a different design. Theirs is like the Star of David,
Oh,
and
I thought that was yours.
and it's a funny story too, because when they put that up, somebody that was Jewish moved into their town or their neighborhood, and they saw that star, and they went knocking on the person's door that goes to our church, and was so excited because you're like, oh, you're Jewish too? And they're like, no, because they had this Star of David. You'll actually see it in this.
Well, the star is significant for me too. For the past few years, I've really wanted to get away from the materialism and all the rushes on Black Friday and stuff, and it just bugged me so much. And so I started thinking about the star and what that meant, and the symbolism of that, and the wise men, and so I became a real huge fan of just that simple decoration of a star. And so I started thinking of different ways of just putting a bright light on top of my house or something, and then just having some wise men down there looking at it. So in that depicts of seeking Christ out,
Yeah.
and then recognizing his signs of the times. So you have, so you know, and we could talk about how the signs are pointing to his second coming. And but the first coming is very significant because we could learn a lot from his first coming, and then the signs that happen that a lot of people could dismiss. But when we're really looking for those signs, you could see that Christ's signs are happening, and that star represents that.
And that the star is got like so many things in it, that he's in control of the universe, that he made a star appear and it was as bright as day for one solid day, and then it stayed there ever since, apparently. I don't know which star that is in the sky, but just as his son was born to be our star guiding light back to God. It's just so many beautiful things. And then there's another beautiful thing, but I'll tell you after we watch this.
When Jesus Christ was born, God showed the entire world the sign, a new star. The people in the Americas were taught what that star meant, and they too rejoiced. They had personal experiences with Jesus Christ. After his resurrection, he even appeared to them and taught and healed and prayed for them. Through their witnesses, we can feel Christ's light and come to know him more than ever before.
So this one was special to me because I love talking about, and I know you do too, how real Jesus Christ is to the entire world, how he is really the savior of the entire world. And I love that of it's almost like a of course God would tell people about who his son is because they're all his children. And in the Book of Mormon, it just gives another testament of the people that lived on this side of the world, this side meaning in the Americas. They had relationships with Christ. They had prophets. They knew the teachings. Now, there were people that didn't accept it, just like in the Bible. And that's what I love about it. And I'm sure there are more people around the world that saw that star and God told them what it was about. Their angels telling them, and through their prophets. And my question is, why wouldn't I want to know about that? About other people, more people that saw these signs in the sky. That to me is the real Jesus Christ, that he would talk to everybody that he could. Heavenly Father would show his son to the world. Now, he had to go live in a physical place, and so that physical place was Jerusalem. And I just love that the star is a sign to everybody all around the world. And that actually makes me happier. It fills me with more joy because it shows that he really does love all of his children, and he's excited about the birth of his son, his only begotten son, and so showing the entire world his excitement and showing that there is a way back to him. And so that's why it's so special to me. I think I wanted to depict somehow in a way that I could by myself or with a few people, as opposed to a big production or something, but show in a simple way that if you haven't yet read in the Book of Mormon, to the challenge is to see Christ and know him through these witnesses, these people that have these experiences, and that the promise is that you will have more light in your life, and you will come to know him even more, and you will come to know that these things are true through the Spirit. And again, it just shows more of God's love, and how much he has cared about all of his children throughout all generations. And that's why that was special to me. Anyway, so that was my goal with this. It's always difficult on your own, but it was just more of something, I had a kind of a tight deadline of just because Christmas is coming up and I got the idea, like a week and a half ago. And so anyway, those are my thoughts on that one.
Yeah, that's good. I feel like we're heading into signs of his second coming, and I always compare the signs and all the building up to his first coming, and I take that as like a parallel to like what we're seeing building up to his second coming, and there'll be some differences, but you'll see some like a lot of similarities. We see that the wrapping up scene of all of his plan, of all of his children, of all faiths, all people living and dead who have lived on the earth are going to all be gathered together in him. And that's the difference between his first and second coming, is that now that things are wrapping up, you see that there is a this is a winding up scene where he is going to gather all his people, and on both sides of the veil, like this side and the other side, and the veil will eventually be taken off, and then we'll see all sorts of amazing things. I think
Yeah.
things that we have never seen before, and his face will be revealed. I have no idea what that looks like, but at least looking for the similarities to draw from his first coming, and his character and how he works and communicates with his people that hear his voice, then you get a feel for how he's going to do it. And it's always it's never you have to look for it to see it. You have to see it through spiritual eyes. And when you see the world through a spiritual lens and through scriptural references, then it becomes very apparent and very obvious. And I've never been more excited this Christmas than I ever have, I think. And I think our friend Scott was saying that too, that we had on a few podcasts ago, or maybe it's our last podcast. But I can't remember if he said it was in this podcast or it was just on the phone or something when I was talking to him. But he said that for some reason he felt a general spirit about this Christmas more than he has ever felt before, and I feel the same thing. And it could be for different reasons, but as I hear more people expressing their feelings about it, I'm like, I think there's something more than just me feeling it. I think people are feeling it. It's this hope after going through a dark world, and you see that little horizon of a light coming out, like the morning, and it's like this gradual like light that brightens up, and the light slowly creeps across the landscape as the morning comes. And that's what I feel like the Lord does, is he does that gradually. And if you could see that spiritually, you could see it coming.
Yeah, I love that. So good. So would this lead us into this one?
Yeah, you can give like a quick little background. Is that the Joseph?
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe I'll just say what Joe did with it. Joe had an inspiration about the Nativity, but it was a different perspective. He thought about Joseph in his perspective in raising Jesus, the Son of God, and his progress through that and his growth. And Joe came up with this idea based off of his own experience when you found out you're going to have a daughter. So it was kind of that feeling of responsibility that upon your shoulders. And so he kind of felt that feeling, and then he translated it into what would Joseph, I mean, what would Joseph is stepfather's name. I don't know why I just blipped there, but yeah. So his stepfather Joseph would have felt that. He would have felt that same weight of a responsibility when he knew this is the Messiah.
Yeah, and he knew. We know that he knew that who it was.
Yeah, it's like wow.
How I don't know. So it's literally how I didn't understand that really until, again, it was, so I have two children. It was so I have a son and a daughter, and it was, for some reason I felt it, especially when I was having a daughter, and it was this overwhelming feeling of responsibility. And anyway, yeah, it was just like Barry said. And for some reason, it was around Christmas time, maybe. No, I don't know when it was that. But it was basically I was riding to the train to work. This was in Utah, and this was when I was working for the church. And I could think of ideas and pitch them, and the different committees would approve them or whatever. Anyway, so I had these big. While I was writing, I would be listening to the soundtrack of the Nativity story. It's one of my favorite depictions of the Nativity. If you haven't seen that movie, also check that out, because I just feel anyway, for some reason I just really felt they paid a lot of attention to the sweetness and the purity of Joseph and Mary, and then also the hard things that they'd have to go through, that they had to go through, and then the God following through with a miracle, all these miracles, and anyway, just very special. So I was listening to that soundtrack on this train, and I had these same feelings, and then I was starting to kind of start to relate with Joseph, and then what it must have felt like with knowing that you were going to raise Jesus. And then with this idea, it got changed a bunch, and so it isn't actually what I wanted it to turn out to be, but when you work for the church, that's just kind of how it happens. But I at least wanted it to come across as his own conversion and his own starting to feel better, that things will be okay process, because it can be very debilitating. And in the first scene, it starts with, I can start playing it because I think YouTube will strike this or something.
But we could talk through it. Is that what we're going?
Yeah, but we can talk through it, and so we'll put the link too, so that you can get the uninterrupted version. But this is when they had lost Jesus, and they were searching for him for 3 days. That I can't even imagine. But this is really kind of where, actually, I want to, would be a moment where Joseph, it kind of would have, those moments in your life where you have fear of something. And I think you talked about this in a podcast that I wasn't here for. But you have a fear of something, and then you have a moment that almost feels like it confirms that fear. And I felt like this for Joseph. Like, they lost Jesus. So at such a young age, I mean, he was 8 or something, or was he 12? Anyway, sorry, it's been a while. But he loses him, and then so if you had, that's how I was imagining Joseph feeling, like, see, I knew I couldn't do this kind of thing. And so he gets kind of disappointed after, anyway, so we'll let that play.
Josie!
今 How is it that you sought me? Was it not that I must be about my father's business?
So those moments in your life where also, so after that happens and you're kind of on a trip, or say you're traveling somewhere and you just are down on yourself. Anyway, so he goes through this experience of remembering moments up until this time. So it's kind of flashbacks.
And that was kind of a moment, like he was knew that what Jesus was prophesied to do when he was looking at the pure lamb there. Is that what
Yeah.
that depiction was?
Yep. And again, we're kind of projecting. We don't know exactly what he did know. He knew that, because I mean, even his apostles had a hard time understanding what he was there to do. So I think maybe in that moment, Joseph was looking down and maybe being like, "Why are you watching this lamb?" I don't know, you know.
I like this part where he waits for his parents to eat first. This kind of shows what Jesus is about right there.
And that was so. Sometimes it was hard to get some of this stuff approved because it's not directly in the Bible.
Yeah.
So he.
Arise and take the young child and his mother and flee into Egypt, for Herod will seek the young child to destroy him.
Frutos bons.
Yeshua. Bohena. Bohena. Uvolek, uvolek. Uvolek.
Lakan. Mara. Tazorna. La ita tar.
So right now it kind of looks like he's building up in his mind all these memories.
Yeah.
Just the intensity of this situation.
Abba?
So I imagined at the last moment there, that hug, I was imagining sometimes you get into these deep spiritual moments where you just appreciate people in your life, you appreciate your loved ones on a deeper level than it could be driving your car, or it could be waking up from a dream or something. I just have that deep. That's how I felt when Joseph was feeling that, and he gave him that embrace. And maybe you embraced your loved one just like that, and they don't know what happened to you. You know, you're just like, but I had just this deep appreciation in those moments. But that's what I thought of the last moment there.
Yeah. No, I think it was. It still happens till today. Uh, and it's happened literally up until this point. Like today, I mean, like I lose perspective. Even though I feel like I'm on the Lord's path or in my life, or maybe I don't feel like I am or whatever, and I question that sometimes. But then as I keep trying and seeking, I have moments like this, I say a conversation, and then it all brings it back in perspective. I actually haven't watched this in a while, a few years, because I always felt kind of inadequate or whatever to even like do these big of projects, and I felt like nobody really liked it at where I was working or whatever, and because I never heard from him again. Basically, I mean, I know some people did, but point is, it wasn't about me. It was more of like my own self confidence, and I lose that, and so gaining that perspective again after you kind of go through something is a blessing, but we're also supposed to go through those moments of what it feels like darkness, but it's more of like we're supposed to have, we've talked about this before. We're supposed to have those moments of where we don't know everything and that we don't have the perspective, but as we continue to try, that perspective comes back and then we feel overwhelmed with that truth and that spirit. And so it's just that contrast is so important. And I was going to say something too with his with that video. I think I lost it.
In that new Nativity short film, I can't remember when they came out with that. Was it a couple years ago? The church produced that. So in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, you'll find this video on their website, but it's the Nativity that they made. I think it was at least 2 years ago. But there was amazing a feeling about that one, and I don't know how to describe this, but if you've ever felt in your life the sweet, sweet light of Christmas, of what it really feels like, just I'm trying to think of an imagery or something, but think of a star and just how beautiful and simple that light is, but how peaceful and just eternal that is. And or just a candle lit in a room that just feels so peaceful. That's the feeling of Christmas that I really, really long for. And I feel that occasionally. Mm-hmm. But in this world where it's so clamory and Black Friday sales stuff, it's like, oh my gosh, it's destroying this. And it's hard to find that, especially if you feel alone or if you're like your family's destroyed and you don't like Christmas or, anyway. So you're just like, it's how do you feel that? But I hope and pray that we can like, just for a moment, we could feel just that, and that we can know that we could feel more of it if we keep seeking it out.
Yeah, I totally believe that. I have a testimony of that too. It's seeking out that specific thing versus I want to have, my Christmases have changed over the years to I really don't think about gifts a whole lot. I want these experiences, special experiences that I feel with my family or on my own, but a connection with Jesus Christ and a celebration of his birth, and what it means to me and the world. And then it all starts to come back into perspective like that. And I do try as hard as I can to get those little glimpses again, because it's so easy to get distracted with everything. Obviously, I don't need to list anything off because we all know. but usually it comes in the form of me reaching out to somebody or doing something, not, and it actually converts. It brings that to me. We just went caroling last night. It was just me and my family and the missionaries, and we were supposed to be a lot of people, but it was getting pretty cold. So, but we still went and we had a great time, and I had that moment. And so it was, seeking out those moments that will bring that pure light, and that's yeah, I love it.
I think that hymn "Silent Night," it every time I listen to that, I think that's what depicts that sound. That silent night, holy night, is the Prince of Peace, is what that is. He's the Prince of Peace, and he's bringing that. And I think I have a hope, and I think it's coming, like more and more as people really clear away their lives and like really seek for that. I think that's coming back.
Love it. So at this time, we want to wish our 2 listeners a Merry Christmas. But it's also, this is for us, for the future. We just want to record these things to whatever comes out through the Spirit. And so anyway, this is a very special time for me, and I just want to spread that as much as I can to anybody else. That there's a super beautiful, unique spirit around Christmas and Christ. Love it.
Thank you.
And